Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, coming to you from University of Management and Technology. I am Ahmad Sohail. You are watching UMT TV and listening to FM 98.2. A very warm welcome to the show The Power of Books with Mr. Asadullah Sahab. Sir, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, it's been so long, sir, we interacted with each another.
Yes, indeed. We've been unable to continue meeting regularly for reasons on both sides. So it's a welcome. Welcome.
Welcome back, sir. Sir, summer season has set in, sir.
It's not just set in. It's right in the thick of it.
So it's a very difficult period of time for the people.
Oh, I don't think so. It depends on how one takes it.
And but while living in a country like Pakistan, where the electricity, is gone off most of the time,
When there was no electricity, people were still living and prospering and procreating, creating generations of
but
people,
urbanization was not there those times. Gone were the days when urbanization was not so common.
Indeed, but then people who lived in the cities, just look at the walled city and see how congested and how narrow it. So how much heat they must be generating for each other, and still they lived and survived. And when there was no electricity, there used to be fans which were hand pulled, and hand fans, and when there was load shedding going on, so people were using those.
So don't you think that the absence of electricity affect our work, our day-to-day routine?
It's a question of two things. It's a question of attitude, and it's a question of the facilities available. And I think attitude counts a lot. One should not give one's own examples all the time, or even some of the time. I was in Bahawalpur. I grew up sometime in Bahawalpur, in Jeddah and in Bahawalpur, both very hot places. And when we were in Bahawalpur, my father was going back to Saudi Arabia, and my brother and I, we were to stay back in Bahawalpur because we were studying there. So I felt, that now my family is going back to air-conditioned comfort in Saudi Arabia. The whole house is air-conditioned and so on and so forth. And we are going to rot here in the heat. So I was 14 years old at that time. And I said, why should I be dependent for my mood, for my attitude, for my on the weather, something like the weather. I should make myself weatherproof. So right in the heat of June and July, I started sleeping in a room without the fan in the afternoon. My mother would come and see me drenched in sweat. She said, "Why are you here? Why don't you just sleep? Please leave me alone." And gradually, after I got used to sleeping, taking my afternoon nap, my siesta, and without the fan, I started doing it with the bed sheet on me. After I got used to that, I took on a thick thing which we call a case. And after the case came the blanket. And even today, if the electricity switches off for some reason, load shedding or whatever, and I am sleeping in the afternoon, I'm sleeping, or at night even if I'm sleeping, I continue sleeping. I sweat. I sweat a lot, but I continue sleeping.
Even in sizzling hot days?
Yes. It's sizzling hot days, otherwise The story is not worth telling if
Yeah.
it's not about the sizzling hot days. So it's your approach, your attitude.
The human body
So-
can be turned into a weapon or anything, but it would not be the ultimate form. It can
Indeed.
be go beyond of.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. You've seen examples of all this, and we're very adaptable as a
Human body is indeed
as
very
a,
adaptable.
yes, as an animal, as a living being, we're very adaptable. Look at the range of humanity. People living in houses built of ice, igloos, the Eskimos. Their houses are built of blocks of ice, as you would be knowing, as your viewers would almost all be knowing. Their houses are built of it's a dome, and it's built of ice blocks. They live there, and then go to the jungles of Africa or in the desert, the Sahara.
And it's all comes through mind.
It's all a matter of adaptability, of habit. We adapt in two ways: as a group, a large group, and as a nation, as a culture, and then as an individual. So it's how adaptable we are.
But sir, in these times, industrialization, industrial age, we are living in. Electricity, also affect your employment. Electricity also have some other applications in hospitals, in
course.
schools, in education sectors, and in corporate sector as well. So the electricity doesn't only mean to give you a comfort, but also means to provide you an employment, to also generate some resources for education.
Indeed, but I mean, I'm not trying to belittle the importance of electricity in any way. I'm only what I'm saying is that
You are talking about the human adaptability.
yes, if we don't have continuous electricity, or we have breaks, or we have breakdowns, or we have any problems with electricity, or we are somewhere where there is no electricity, it's not the end of the world. It's
The life will go on and on.
life goes on, and it's your approach, and
How do you deal with the situation?
how you deal with the situation, and if one is one accepts this fact that I am adaptable, I I won't be defeated by my circumstances. See, your environment is a part of your circumstances.
No, sir,
And
let's
vice versa.
back to the topic of the today's discussion. Sir, most of us get upset over a lack of support, back talk, and undue criticism. Sir, how can we avoid this kind of the situations?
Again, attitude. There is a verse by Iqbal. बुरा समझूं इन्हें, ऐसा तो मुझसे हो नहीं सकता. बुरा समझूं इन्हें, ऐसा तो मुझसे हो नहीं सकता कि मैं खुद भी तो हूँ इकबाल अपने नुक्ताचीनों में.
Wow. You are talking about the self criticism.
Yes, or and
Self evaluation.
you see, it depends on how secure a personality one is. People who are secure in themselves, who have secure personalities, they're not easily upset, and they're not easily affected by negative approach of other people, and they know what they are, and I'm here while talking to you here. I'm reminded of Muhammad Ali, the boxer.
The boxer, yes.
You see, the first bout that he had for world championship was against a huge hunk of a man called Sonny Liston, and he knocked him out in the third or fourth round, I don't remember what. And he was widely cheered. And in the comeback fight, return fight, he knocked him out in the first round, in the first few seconds of the first round.
Sir,
This
how
was
did he do this?
It was he outboxed him, outdid him, and the crowd started hooting against him because they had, paid so much money for being there to watch a man, uh, bludgeon and really destroy another man, and to
A kind of Hulk, sir,
yes, and here it's just that the fight doesn't even last a minute. So this was his. What I'm telling you is that this was his prowess. This was his power. This was how great he was. What a machine he was. Then he continued remaining on the top. But what did he do? He would not end the fight as soon as possible. He would not knock the person out. He would, prolong the fight deliberately. Then now how does one do that? By having a lot of confidence in oneself that I can stop the
It is the
fighting.
real question, sir.
I can stop myself anytime I want. I'm in control. See. Then what happened is that he was sent to jail for not being drafted into the army, which was fighting in Vietnam.
He refused to join.
He refused to join as a conscientious objector. He said, "I'm a Muslim and I don't fight except in the name of
Allah."
and so on and so forth." Now, when he came out of prison, he wasn't the same person. See, he had aged, and being in prison has its own consequences, emotional consequences, and so he lost a fight. And then what did he do? He changed his tactics.
Fighting tactics.
Yes. He would cover himself and let his opponent hit him.
Okay.
And he would just
Moving around,
move around or let him hit and then invite him. Come on, hit me. He would cover his face like this and come on, hit me. And the person, what was he doing? By doing this, he was tiring out his opponent. He was making his opponent lose his strength, his own strength. He was using his opponent's own strength against the opponent. And when he found that his fellow is now, he's tired himself out, then came the knocking punch.
And this is how he innovated the fighting techniques.
This is how he adapted to the changed circumstances, to the changed scenario.
Sir, sometimes, should we care what other thinks of you?
Up to a limit, yes. But we should not just, just receive negative negative inputs, but analyze them dispassionately and see whether there's any truth in them or they're not, and then if there's something of value, we take it and be grateful for it, and if not, you see, this is a matter of ego management. You have to manage your ego to get the best out of a situation.
Sir, and how should we deal with the people's negative opinion and undue criticism, sir?
This is what I've already answered.
Yes, sir. But sometimes the lack of appreciation, cause the frustration in oneself.
Yes, but That depends on how dependent one is on other people's opinions. If you're a self-assured person, if you can you're capable of self-analysis, dispassionate self-analysis. You see, your approach will be will be will be very different. Uh, most of us actually, what it is, you see, it's a matter of being popular. We want to be popular. We want to be well liked. Indeed, we that's a genuine need of human beings. But how would you like to be well liked? For what reason would you like to be well liked? What is the things that makes you a well liked person? So, and what about yourself? What do you like about yourself, and what would you like about yourself? Irrespective of other people's
And what do you
opinions.
want to see in your life?
And there you have to have a balance between what people expect from you, what you expect from people, and what you expect from yourself, and what you should be expecting from yourself. Know yourself. Know thyself. Very crucial dictum of philosophy. Know thyself.
Sir, what should we do when we feel let down, exploited, and taken advantage of by people associated with us? When we feel exploited, and when people used to take advantage of your positions.
Don't let them take advantage of your position, and don't be exploited.
So what measure we should adopt?
That will depend on the situation, and there can't be the general rule is that don't. But this don't, you see how you're going to use this don't will depend upon the situation. And can you ignore it? If you can, yes. And if you can't, why not? Do you see, you have to carry out a self-analysis. Why are people, if some individual is you see, he doesn't like some of my habit or something I do, maybe it's because of him rather than because of me. But if it is something that is common, or a number of people feel this way about me, then I should, instead of just brushing it away, and if it's important for me how people are, then I'll have to sit down myself and think about it and carry out a self-analysis, a self-appraisal, and then act according to what I find out about myself. I have to launch a voyage of self-discovery.
So lack of cooperation in sports from others, cripple our emotions, and it also let down our ability to can-do attitude. To have can-do attitude, sir. Sir, the negative self-image within oneself and frustration within oneself and the impatience within oneself. Do you think all these things are one and the same, or these things are altogether different from each another?
They're all related, and there are different ways of expressing the same thing, the same ideas, actually. And it's all a question of being how other-oriented we are. Of course, nobody likes to be unpopular. Nobody likes to be, for the sake of being unpopular, that is. If you have a certain strong belief about something, you will defend it. You will not only practice it, you will also defend it. Why? Because it's your belief. And if somebody is, you see, if a large number of people are criticizing this belief of yours, then you need also to have a second look at it. And then if you're convinced that you're right, then you have to stand up for it. And once you decide to stand up for it, then comes the question, how? How am I going to react? How am I going to manage this? Nelson Mandela managed it for how many years?
For many years,
26 or something,
Uh,
or 36, I don't recall right now. So that was his response. And everybody, we all manage ourselves, and some of us do it rather well, others don't. And
See, money is a great motivator. Sometimes even the money is not, accountable. Accountable, sorry. So most of the young professionals, most of the young, sportsmen or the sportswomen uh, are complaining of humiliation from others, disappointment from others, ingratitude from others, the lack of respect from others, and and criticism from other, hypocrisy from other, and gossip and talk behind one's backs from others. So this situation, frustrated, dejected, disappointment, despair, make despair many of the youth, many of the young peoples. And these are the tactics usually deployed by the senior management, the senior fellows in a workplace. So this discouraging attitude by the seniors seriously affect the performance of the young individuals.
again, it's a question of interaction of personalities.
Because it's very
How secure?
common, sir, in our workplace.
Well,
It's very
yes,
common in our society.
it's very
Most
common
of the
because
people discourage you when you are in a whirlpool of difficulties, when you are in a whirlpool of miseries. People used to discourage you. You find very rare people that really come in and help you and motivate you. So this is the situation that has destroyed the future of many young peoples.
well, I think it's all a matter of how strong a personality you have.
Okay, sir.
How secure a personality do you have? Those people who are secure in the sometime back, you remember we did discuss this, that there are I told you that for me there's a binary classification of people. You're either secure or you're insecure. And of course, nobody is absolutely secure. Nobody is, I mean, nobody is and nobody is again absolutely insecure unless they're insane. So, if you're secure, you will take criticism, genuine criticism, positive criticism. You will take it in stride, and you will respond to it. You see, if somebody is criticizing your stance, or your front foot drive, cover drive, see, and then you need to look at it and see whether it's right or wrong. I mean, if it's not, if it's, what sort of feedback is it, and is it genuine? I mean, to find out that yes, and then this is an opportunity for you to improve. If it is just feedback for the sake of feedback, or for no valid positive reason, then you just ignore it. And if your ego stands in the way, then either you brush it aside, or succumb to it.
So where from sir, actual motivations come? From within, outside of your persona, or where from really the real motivation comes?
All around, including yourself.
Do you think it is because of the environment, or it is because of your own values, your mindset, or something like
All
that?
these factors these are all factors in the situation. All these factors.
All these factors.
Yes. So it's basically a balance. Where do you balance yourself?
In today's discussion, we have discussed how to deal with the opinions of others about yourself, about oneself. I hope you have enjoyed the program. Till next program, Allah Hafiz.